Guys, I'm tickled. Tickled, I tell you. Why? Oh, I'm not even recording. Because I've just finished a documentary. I've just finished the Unknown Number documentary, the Catfish one on Netflix, yeah? And that's the most harrowing shit I've seen since Abducted in Plain Sight. Which, if you haven't seen Abducted in Plain Sight, no spoilers, I'm just gonna say fuck them parents and fuck them kids. No, not the fuck them kids, honestly. Belly full of Nando's, heart full of hopes and dreams. I'm ready to go. Today we're gonna dive into Sky Borgman's Netflix documentary, Unknown Number, the Catfish Story. We're gonna get into what happened, how it happened, what happened after it happened, all of it, all the juicy nitty gritty details, and what it means. Before I get into it, spoilers, blah blah blah, trigger warning and such forth and hence which. Now let me paint you a picture. It's a crisp October night. It's the Halloween season 2020. We're in Beale City, Michigan, a town where everyone knows everyone. If you fart, your neighbour's hearing it next door and he's putting it in the town's bulletin board. Everyone will know about it the next day. 13-year-old Lauren Licari and her boyfriend Owen, second name, I don't care to remember. This is more about Lauren. They start receiving some heinous text messages, you know. It's directed at Lauren, and it's things like, your boyfriend Owen doesn't like you. He likes me instead. He no longer likes you and hasn't liked you for a while, and it's obvious he wants me. The teens ignore the text as you do, probably block the number, honestly. They go about life as you do normally. Life goes on. So a year passes. It's now September 2021. And it's important to note that when the initial text started in October 2020, around that time, their classmate, Chloe, I believe her name is, she was throwing a Halloween party and Lauren says she wasn't invited. She was quite friendly with Owen, Lauren's boyfriend, but not so much friendly with Lauren. It's classic teen bullshit, you know. What I got from the documentary personally was that they didn't like her because she was quiet. You know, loudmouth teen girls. What can you do? We've all been there. I wasn't one of them, but you know. And like, what I got from it was that she's like quiet and uninterested in being their friend. So, you know, resorts to bullying. Like, it's just what happens in high school, unfortunately. The texts include messages like, you are the ugliest person I've ever seen. Ain't no one want to see your... this is actually... You're going to read it on the screen. I kind of just don't want to say this. It's too cringe. And as time went on, the text ramped up from September 2021. It put a psychological strain on the teens' young, budding relationship. And the kids started to blame each other. They started to fight. They're just kids. Their brains are, like, undercooked. Do you know what I mean? Lauren started having doubts about Owen, saying she kind of fell under the pressure of whatever the anonymous texter was saying. Owen was blaming Lauren for some reason, whatever. They decided to break up. Now, from this point, the text starts showing real sexually explicit kind of vulgar language towards Owen especially. And mind you, these are 14-year-old children. Like, it's really disgusting. They were super vulgar, super graphic in nature, and often referring to Lauren as her nickname, Low. And she says this in the documentary that from that she kind of gathered it's definitely someone she knows. It's not like a stranger. She went to a high school of around 700 children, so like it was very hard to narrow it down, but she narrowed it down in her mind by saying to herself, this is definitely someone that knows, definitely someone that knows me, definitely someone that knows I use the nickname Low. The police department step in because, you know, it's getting to a point. Police chief exhausts all his options. He's trying to figure out who it is. It's hard to figure out who it is. Despite Beale City being a small town, it's hard to figure out who it is amongst 700 children, especially in the high school. So do you know what he does? Hands it to the FBI. They've got more resources to try and figure out who this is. From what I saw, the FBI agent put a warrant out for the IP addresses that belong to the tech. And I was kind of impressed with this part. Bro, he got in contact with Verizon. He got in contact with the phone companies attached to the number of this stalker. He basically got handed the information on a silver platter. Here you go. It's this IP address. He ran the numbers and only one number came up and continued coming up. Kendra Licari, the young Lauren's own mother, was behind this. She's disgusting. I'm not gonna lie, guys. I need her executed by firing squad. Now, there's a few things to unpack here. When she's first being confronted by this and first being told by the police, hey, man, we know it's you. I'm just paraphrasing here. She seems to splutter. You can see her brain racking the gears, turning for an excuse to turn this into her favor. She starts a confession, but teeters on the line of an admission of guilt. It's not exactly an admission of guilt the way she speaks. It's a weird in between, and you can tell from her face, number one, she's scared as fuck, as she should be. You can literally genuinely watch, if you watch it very closely, you can see her go through all the files in her brain to try and make this better for herself. And then you can see her failing and then jumping to her last resort, which is manipulating her daughter, because she's about to find out that her mum is the one behind all these text messages. She knows her daughter's about to find out. She's like, let's go to emotional manipulation. The father gets called from his workplace by the police. He is told. He flies home and immediately divorces Kendra. He finds out that he's been lying to her, not only about this, but about their financial situation, her job employment, how long she's been employed. And she wasn't even employed, by the way. She was pretending to go to work for 8 hours a day for a good year and a half, I think. And he was in shock. He said, if you don't get out of the house, I'm about to catch a case. You need to leave while the cops are still here. That way you're still safe. You're in danger right now, sister. Kendra had been fired from her job at Central Michigan in 2019. And her new job at Ferris State didn't come with the salary increase, even though she lied and said there was a salary increase. Then she was placed in a performance improvement plan in 2021 and she quit. By the time Kendra's lies were discovered, the family was already being hounded by debt collectors and bailiffs, and they were in danger of losing their home. So essentially, for 8 hours a day, every day, for about a year and a half, this woman was lying to her husband and her family, going out and sending over, I believe, 18,000 text messages to her minor daughter and her daughter's minor boyfriend, sexually explicit and vulgar text messages. It's now, why did she do it? When she was asked in the documentary, you can even see then that she's racking her brain looking for an excuse. And you know, Sky Borgman actually was interviewed at Netflix's Tudum event, and she commented on it and she said, I'm not even sure Kendra knows why she did it. But essentially in the documentary, her excuse was she didn't send the initial text, but she sent everything else. And the reason why she did that was because she wanted to get to the bottom of who sent the initial text. Oh my god, she is tapped. She was like, it started that like I sent these text messages to my daughter because I thought she'd be like, who is this so and so, and it would give me a general idea of who sent the initial text, and that would clue me into. No one believes you, brother. And she says it spiraled from then on. The article notes speculate that Kendra's reason for this is some form of Munchausen by proxy. When this got brought up to Sky Borgman, actually, she said it's a bit problematic to label it as such. And although Borgman saw similarities between the condition and Kendra's behaviour, she says to give it any sort of medical foundation is a bit problematic. Now, this is the kind of part that stood out to me. If you watch towards the end of the documentary, you'll see people being interviewed from Kendra's early life. This is sisters, family, people that she knew way early in her life when she was young. And there's one person that specifically stood out to me. I don't know if it was her sister or her aunt, but they said Kendra was an attention seeker. She loved attention. She loved the spotlight more than anything. As she said in the interview that like she'd be talking to you and Kendra would be doing a little dance in the corner, getting you to look over at her. Now, this is super telling to me, just because it kind of relates to how Sky Borgman got Kendra to participate in the documentary. In a lot of documentaries, you don't see perpetrators get interviewed. You really don't. That's why the twist of how it came about and how it was Kendra Lucari behind the fucking text messages was so gut-wrenching. Borgman said, seemed Kendra was interested in sharing her story directly with the audience. Quote, that was appealing to her, to sit down and tell her story from her perspective, that Lauren could see her do that, end quote. She said she wanted to do it, I think, for her daughter. The now 45-year-old pled guilty to 2 counts of felony stalking and stalking a minor and was sent to 19 months in prison. Now, towards the end of the documentary, once again, Lauren was interviewed, asking how she felt. And a lot of people I saw on social media criticize Lauren for wanting to see her mother. But one thing you guys need to understand is that those interviews, there are 2 interviews, I believe, or there are 2 cuts where she's in a grey hoodie and she's walking towards the camera. That and the initial hoodie where she's in like a pink hoodie, I've said hoodie way too many times, they were taken years apart. That's why during the end credits they say Lauren's done some critical thinking. And I don't think it's fair for a lot of people on social media to bash her. She was a child, her undercooked brain, of course she wants to see her mother, even though her mother did those things to her. I guarantee you later on in life, and especially when she has kids of her own, she's not going to want to talk to that bitch. Like, you really cannot hold Owen and Lauren's actions to them. They were 14. They were not even 14. They were like 14, however, to 18, however long this documentary took to film. You can't really hold them accountable for their emotional responses in their reactions. What I will comment on is the likes of Chloe's parents. Oh my god, they pissed me off so bad. They pissed me off so badly. There was this one-liner Chloe's mum did, and I've never cringed so much in my life. And her husband sat there holding her thigh or whatever. Holding her thigh under the table going, I taught her that one. I'm pretty proud of that one, actually. Shut the fuck up. I've just spat everywhere. Unfortunately, mean girls are a part of life. They don't just stop in high school, brothers. You'll find them in school. You'll find them in coffee shops. You'll find them in the streets. You'll find them at work. And while I won't comment on Chloe because that's a child, I will say that it's when a mean girl meets an enabling man and births a fat-headed mean girl to carry on their shitty ways that really gets me. Now, I'm not saying that. Do you know what I mean? I'm just saying. Now, before I stop yapping, because I want to stop yapping, I just want to say that I have a few criticisms for this documentary, to be honest. And one of the biggest ones was the fact that they skimmed over Kendra's predatory behaviour so much. Like, what? I think they dedicated all of 5 minutes to talking about how predatory she was toward Owen, a 14-year-old boy. That's disgusting. If you look at the sexually explicit nature of those text messages, yeah, paired with the fact that Owen said in his interviews that she was a little bit too nice to him, always wanting to do things for him, just in a way, just fucking doing some light grooming really gets me. And they only gave his mother like a couple minutes to talk about it, and she wasn't sentenced to anything to do with that. She wasn't held accountable for anything to do with that. That really fucks me up, and there should have been a lot of more emphasis on her predatory nature towards that boy. My take on it personally is that she wanted to be her daughter so bad. She was drowning in debt. She was lying to her husband. She was having a quarter-life crisis. Her bones were turning to dust, you know. She looks at her fresh-faced daughter and she's like, fuck, I want to be you so bad, you kid. Okay, jokes aside though, it's actually cooked. And death row! Death row! I also saw that a lot of people were kind of like getting on to Lauren, the victim, just because of like, it's really sad. She seems very like despondent and detached, and she's fucking traumatized. And like a lot of you lot would be as well, like especially at that age, finding out your mother's telling you to kill yourself unrelentlessly. Like, what? That's not a normal thing to go through. That's gonna cook you mentally. Anyways, I'm done yapping. I needed to yap about this documentary. Guys, keep one eye on your mother. What is this?